team is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Well, g'day folks, how are you? I hope you're having a very, very good kind of a Thursday. It's a little bit of a wet one, big storms happening around Brisbane, Gold Coast, and I think Sunshine Coast at the moment. So buckle down if you're in those areas. We might have a few issues with, well, it looks like the thunder and lightning might have passed over us for the time being. So fingers crossed, all things go well. Tonight, Darren Bergwerf will be on for a little bit of a chat, and we've got an update from Kate. Now, Kate... got a couple of the patches from me. You've probably caught up with her findings on those. Well, she's got an update a week in to her trial of the patches, so we'll find out how that's going. And before we get into anything else, I want to welcome tonight's guest, a man who we used to be able to introduce as the man formerly known as Dr. William Bay. But, well, I'm not sure what we get to call you these days, Billy. Happy Christmas, mate. I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. And news out of AHPRA is, we're doing a U-turn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's freedom, freedom, freedom all around, Carl, and it's been a great victory when on the 11th of December, AHPRA, the evil clowns at the centre of this entire criminal fiasco or murderous intent scamdemic, they superseded their position statement, which is the gag order that basically is responsible for all the crimes that have occurred with the so-called vaccines, which are more likely and more accurately described as gene therapy or a bioweapon. And they have backed down, and thus, in my opinion, allowing the doctors and nurses, etc., of Australia to throw off the yoke, the chains from the mind control of AHPRA, and now telling all Australians the truth about the so-called vaccines, which is they are simply not safe nor effective.
Well, that's the question. Are they in fact saying that, or are they just saying, well, we're not going to remove your license or otherwise impinge on your life if you want to tell, you being a GP, for instance, if you want to tell people what you think that, because at the end of the day, the GPs are the ones that are going to be at the coalface of this and are going to face the anger that invariably I think some people are going to show. How's that make you feel?
Well, again, I think it's a great day because people like myself and Dr. Hobart, Dr. Miley Trin, etc., have been punished and punished severely for speaking out freely against these so-called vaccines. And that was primarily because of this position statement, which said that you could not criticize the government, you could not criticize the COVID-19 vaccines. So now that this position statement is in the bin, there is nothing, in my opinion, stopping doctors and nurses from speaking freely now, including GPs, and I would encourage them to go for it. If they were afraid before, don't be afraid now. We don't have that position statement anymore. Yes, there are some FAQs on a web page that some people are still feeling uncertain about, but these FAQs are just FAQs. Like, people have got to harden up and learn to put their patients first and stop worrying about regulators, especially when these regulators are an illegal corporation based in Victoria that purports to run the country and have absolutely got no authority whatsoever at all. So it's about time doctors have some testosterone, male or female or otherwise, and tell their patients the truth, Carl. If the doctors won't stand up now, they never will. So this is their second chance, Sally Shay. Second chance.
It's going to be a hard conversation with some doctors and their patients, I imagine. Now, those ones that have worked through the entire period, unlike yourself, where you've had to go to great expense to fight, the bureaucrats at the end of the day. You're not fighting medically trained people, you're fighting bloody bureaucrats. Now, where does this about face by AHPRA leave you and your position?
Well, before I talk about me, where it leaves all those other doctors that have been complicit in this crime of the century, if not of humanity, they need to remember their training in medical school and indeed what we were taught in the hospitals as well, that saying sorry is okay. Saying sorry is empathetic, it's humanistic, it's a way to promote healing. So I would encourage GPs, cardiologists, everybody, that if they have any doubts about these so-called vaccines, do not hold back now. Speak the truth, and it's okay to say, I made a mistake, or I was bullied into doing this, or AHPRA lied to me. Be honest, and people are probably more forgiving than you may think. That would be my advice to my colleagues. As for me, unfortunately, this back down by AHPRA does not change a thing about my current situation. I'm still suspended indefinitely as a national security threat, basically, to the public safety of Australia, 17 months. Since August 17th, 2022, for merely criticising these vaccines and my colleagues at the AMA and also the government. I mean, it's just ridiculous, because one of these charges that they suspended me on was that I'd called Anastasia Palaszczuk a dark mistress. Well, she's gone now, so who cares? I mean, why is that stopping me from helping patients? This is ridiculous. So I think the courts are not going to look favourably upon their prosecution of me when they've taken back this position statement and Anastasia is no longer there. And everybody knows that basically this whole COVID thing has been a scam. So I think I am going to win. And when I do win, not only will it return my employment to me, but more importantly, it will reestablish the role and the primacy of the doctor-patient relationship and informed consent as mandatory in this country.
A couple of months ago, I watched a brilliant interview. Well, it was more an exercise in watching you be a very patient man. You were on with Michael Gray-Griffiths, and you were interviewing or speaking to a professor, I think, of cardiology out of one of the big Melbourne hospitals. And I want to say from memory,
Dr. Daniel Nino.
For the first 42 minutes, he didn't shut up and couldn't stop telling us how much he knew about the COVID shots and, how we were all wrong and you particularly were wrong. What are the odds of getting him on again for another interview? Do you think he'll have a change of heart?
Speaking to Michael the other day, and that's the message that I had received, actually, is that he is very concerned about the data coming out of New Zealand. He has legitimate concerns, like many people do, which I think is good. And so if Dr. Daniel Nino is a man of science and objectivity, which he claims to be, and I believe him. I believe he believes he was doing the right thing. I'm pleased to see that he is now having concerns about these vaccines. Yeah. And now with AHPRA allowing him to speak freely about that, yes, I think maybe there could be a chance there where Dr. Daniel Nino and myself or Dr. Paul Oosterhuis could have a chat with him, and perhaps we might come to a mutual understanding about this greatest crime of the century.
Well, I'd love to give you this platform to do it on if you want to put it together. I'd love to have you here for a chat.
Okay.
Be very interested to see how those that were so invested in the lie, let's call it, how they're dealing with that reality now that they seem to have lost all bureaucratic and governmental support for that particular storyline. I mean,
yes, that's right. There was that scheme that was promised by the scum ScoMo to cover the doctors for their liability. That was turned out to be false. And then now AHPRA is not backing the doctors up anymore. So that's why truly now is the time for doctors to get out there on the front foot, not only protect their patients, but protect themselves. Because if any patients from this point onwards sue them or make a complaint regarding vaccine injury, then they're going to be hung out to dry. I mean, what leg are they going to stand on? They're going to say, I didn't tell you about the vaccine side effects because why, doctor? Because why? So they're in very dangerous legal and financial and moral territory now, and this is their last chance of redemption, in my strong opinion.
How many doctors do you know have that empathy inside them to be able to understand that that's the way this may need to be approached? Are they a very empathetic mob? I haven't met. I've got to admit, I don't have a huge cohort of doctors that I call friends, and you would be counted amongst the very small group of doctors that I really do know. And you seem like a pretty approachable kind of bloke. You're a nice enough fella, but I know there are many stories of other medical, not just doctors, nurses as well, whose bedside manner might be improved somewhat. How are they going to deal with this?
Well, the best way to improve your bedside manner is through humility. To realize that you are no better than the patient. It's a mutual relationship, and that you're there to actually serve the patient, believe it or not. And so, to get that humility, what you need is a hit to your ego to prove to you that you're completely wrong on something very important, such as the COVID-19 so-called vaccines. So, yes, there are a lot of arrogant, poorly mannered doctors and nurses out there, but deep down, I think they are still all human beings, and they all started off with that firm intention in mind to help people and to help patients. Yes, a lot of it has been hardened and calloused up by the vagaries of emergency medicine, of patient deaths and regulatory requirements, etc. But now, if these doctors and nurses reflect and find out that they've been wrong for 3 years, perhaps this is the wake-up call they need to bring themselves down a level or two and start treating all patients like human beings.
So with this reversal of AHPRA's position, what's that mean for Billy Bay in 2024? You've sort of lost the platform that we've all been protesting against, if you like. AHPRA have relented. But obviously the battle continues for you.
Yeah, it does. So whilst the publicity, I guess, of my matter may slide into the background because we've had this win and it's great and I'm happy for everybody, I'll probably be quietly working in the background on my legal matters that are still ongoing, by the way, and haven't stopped. I haven't lost. It just takes a long time in this legal system in this country. So I'll continue to fight in the High Court and the Supreme Court of Queensland as is required to make it clear that what AHPRA did, not just to me, but to everybody, was a breach of the Constitution. It was a breach of the implied freedom of political communication. It was a breach of High Court case law in Rogers v. Whittaker 1992 regarding the duty to warn and informed consent. And of course, and perhaps most importantly, it was a breach of our fundamental democracy for Queensland to create this stupid national law in the first place and then try to regulate all of the country from Queensland via a corporation based in Melbourne. That's the great crime, actually, and that's what I'll be going after still. And when I win that will dismantle all these illegal, unconstitutional laws that are the conduit, the gateway, shall we say, for the New World Order that's bringing in all their globalist policies to take away our democracy and our individual rights. That is why I've got to keep fighting. It's not so much about informed consent anymore. Now it's about our very democracy and our very freedom from these globalist forces.
A lot of what you're referring to there hinges on the power that the Queensland government has because there is no upper house. Am I right in saying that?
Well, certainly not having an upper house has made it very easy for Queensland to put in these very illegal and frankly just hard to believe laws where they think they claim to be rulers of this country. I think a Senate would have, perhaps laughed them out the door, and people would have heard about it and would have pushed back against it. Because there are no checks and balances in the Queensland Parliament as of present, then the Labor governments especially can just roll through these communistic totalitarian regimes. And so, I would love to see Queensland getting a Senate upper house back again. I don't know when, but that would surely be a dream of myself as well.
Yeah, and I dare say there's going to be an awful lot of opposition from the two main parties because
that's right.
They wouldn't like that at all.
No, because it's winner take all, right, Carl? So if you're Labor or you're Liberal, same, right? If you get in, then you got all the power. And that's what these mongrels want, right? They want power and lots of it. So why would they give up power? No, the only way that we're going to get that power back is through a grassroots movement, which begins with education, like what we're doing now, to make people, A, aware of the problem, and then B, start peacefully lobbying to change that problem, which would be to bring in legislation to reenact the Senate in Queensland that was demolished by the Labor government in 1922.
Yep. Have you got a website, or are you putting something together where people can keep track of you at the moment as you head down this road?
Yeah, people, as always, Carl, can keep abreast of the events that I'm running at www.q for Queensland, P for protest, P for people.life, LIF for freedom E, QPP.life. Also, I am Dr. Billy Bay on Twitter/X, and the suspended Dr. William Bay on Facebook.
The suspended Dr. William Bay. Did you have any Twitter problems today? I believe Twitter came down for a number of hours today. Were you able to tweet or X, whatever you do these days?
I'm a bit of a social media hiatus at the moment, actually, Carl. I've made an exception to come on your lovely program this evening. I'm just taking a break from all that, so I haven't been tweeting too much at the moment. So I think everybody needs a detox from social media from time to time. It can get very intense. So if anybody out there is finding stress or depression or anxiety, look no further than your screens, I say. For myself, it's taking a couple of weeks break from it now. It's so amazingly good just to get your head out of that space from time to time.
Well, I won't hold you up. It is the week before Christmas, so you're either wrapping presents or hiding them. So good luck to you, mate, you and your family. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and I look forward to reaching out again in 2024. I know we've been meaning to catch up and have lunch, and I keep running out of the state for whatever reason. It's not you, I promise. So we'll arrange it for 2024. Okay,
take care, Carl, and God bless all your viewers this evening.
Thanks, mate. Thank you very much. The still suspended Dr. William Bay. He is working very hard on our behalves, and you can go and check out his website, qpp.life. And, well, if you can assist, by all means, please go ahead and assist. We would love to have you as part of all of that. Good to see so much support for him, too, in the chat. Queensland is a bit of a, well, I've been saying for a long time, I don't really understand how the hows and whys of it, but the missing upper house allows the federal government to do things through the Queensland state government that then can be pushed through all the other state and territory governments. Just don't know how it works, but Billy Bay's onto it, and I'm sure he'll be able to explain it to me in the not too distant future. Thank you very much, J1, for your sticker. Really appreciate it, mate. That's going to, well, help pay the bills, and God knows there's a few of them. I'm not going to get into talking about the truck at the moment. It's a whole other story. Might have to just do a show on that. I shouldn't say truck. I've got to think of it in terms of truck at the moment, because it is an F truck series chassis and motor, and so they don't call it a motorhome; they call it an F truck. So anyway, that's where my head's at with all of that at the moment. Speaking of heads, here's a good-looking bloke. Oh, shit, that's still my head. Wrong head. This head. That head. There's a much better looking bloke. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, Carl. How are you, mate?
Good. I see you're all dressed up. I still haven't got my place T-shirt yet. Hung around for days. Nobody handed me one. I don't know. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't think you had any. I meant to catch up with you last Friday night, but my back was out, and as it turned out, you were busy and everything was running around. There was rumours that you were going to make some sort of a big announcement. I said, nah, it's coming up to Christmas. Unless he's planning on painting his beard white and playing Santa for a few days, I don't think there's going to be too many big announcements. However, there might have been a big announcement. Was there any kind of announcement?
Well, there wasn't a formulated announcement, but certainly, I asked the people in the community whether they would support us to do another campaign in the by-election, which I'm not sure if all your viewers would be across this around the country, but Peter Murphy, she passed away probably 2 weeks ago now, who was the federal member for Labor that I ran against in the federal election in 2022. So she's just passed from cancer. I actually went to her funeral last Friday, I think it might have been. It was the same day as we had the kind of Christmas party at my place, our third Christmas party breakup. And it was an intriguing day because I got to see the human side of politics, and this woman was actually an absolute beast. And I have total respect for the way she's led her life and her tenacity and everything about her, apart from her politics. She was actually a good person, and she's only a product of her environment. But it was good to actually be there and understand that not all these people are bad people that we're up against that disagree with us. So it was an important day for me to actually go along there and listen to her her husband and her father and a few other speakers explain who she was. But yeah, well, I was going to jump onto that a bit later because at the moment I've got two hats. The election stuff's not anything to do with my place. So I'd rather talk about the where my place is at and a little bit about my place while I'm in this gear, because I'll quickly change into my election gear at the ad break because and I'm sure you got an Ainsley ad break there, but
I can find one, mate. Yeah.
They're two separate issues, and My Place Australia and My Place communities are still non-political. We are building a parallel community, and we are building an infrastructure, and we've got our own Facebook now on a private server that people are joining up to with Unity Hub, and we are developing.
And in fact,
everything
I'll be streaming the show into the Unity Hub as well. We were going to try and do it tonight, but time ran away from me. Vince and I couldn't hook it up in time. But tomorrow night, it's likely you'll be able to watch it inside the Unity Hub. So,
yep, awesome. We've got about 500 people on there now, or close to. So it's starting to grow. We're going to really start marketing next year. We've got to get an app to make it a lot easier for people. They can download an app on their phone. So it'll be like a Facebook app that will take you straight to Unity Hub. That's going to cost about 10 or 11 grand. So for those people, wondering about where the money goes for subscriptions and all the rest of it, it's costing us $600 a month to keep the servers going, the binary lane, the buddy boss, and all the stuff that we've had that running for 6 months now. And so we're trying to develop a new system for people to get off the Zuckerberg Facebook and all the other cabal-led kind of platforms. And be in the private, away from the prying eyes, and so this takes money to build these kind of this infrastructure and the economy that we're also trying to build within My Place communities. The business networks, the business hubs, which My Place Gold Coast about 180 now, local businesses that aren't necessarily in the freedom movement, but they're starting to get the message from us that if you want your Australian small business to survive, then you have to support these other 179 small Australian businesses as well, and stop spending money with the multinational corporations and the globalist plan to send all our money offshore. So, we're reaching out of the freedom movement into the mainstream with a lot of the things that we're developing at My Place communities.
And still, that's the great thing. There are new communities coming online every week. That means new people trying to find more people that feel a bit like them. And that doesn't mean that you've got to believe in every, tin hat wearing conspiracy theory out there. It just means you want to do something for your community that's positive, and you want to be around other people who want to work for your community too. I think that's probably one of the greatest things about My Place. It has been able to achieve more at a ground level inside local communities than just about anything else I can think of. Even the old service type clubs, the Apex, the Rotaries, the Lions clubs, I don't hear or see much of them anymore on the road, and yet now My Place seems to be the talk of everywhere.
Well, that's because we're all about. I mean, all those communities, the Lions and the Rotary and all that kind of stuff. I see them as they're past history now. They're really they're not growing. And the reason My Place, I think, is going to be so successful, and not just in the next 6 months or 12 months, but a long time into the future, is because the thing that we all lack is knowledge, and it's the lack of knowledge that's got us in the shit we're in at the moment. And what My Place is a big part of My Place, not what it's all about, but a big part is getting that knowledge, getting the knowledge about your standing, about your rights, about your health, your wellness, and sticking together and building a community that has power. One out, we're isolated. They pick us off one by one. We join a massive big group, and we're connected all around the country, and we're building the knowledge base. That's a powerful kind of community. It's a powerful organisation, and it will grow. And I'll just quickly cross over here. Part of the reason that I decided to be a hypocrite and put my hat in the ring for the the by-election was also to promote my place across not only Australia, because everyone's going to be watching this with interest, but also across the world. So, it's just an opportunity too good to pass up. But what we're developing at the moment is truly amazing. Now, we do have also some issues that have come up recently. Obviously, we're very, very big on learning our history about our the Shrine of Remembrance and the Foundation Stone and the Red Flag and that side of the European settling history, which I do believe there's two parts of this journey forward, and not everyone is going to want to go back to LORE. We don't have bloodlines or the history on the tribal First Nations side of things. So there will be two vehicles moving forward, and we've got to find the right one for the white fella. The black fellas are getting their shit together. They're all coming together and forming pactums and working across the land. And and they've got their grandmother's law that's being served around councils and that kind of stuff at the moment. It's all part of a bigger picture, and we've got to educate ourselves. And once we do, but in that we've come across some people that we and this is a really tricky position because we don't like to be a master servant kind of organisation. We're a grassroots, ground-up organisation where every community has the ability to, work it out for themselves, right? And they're going to make mistakes. All we can offer is some guidance and some ideas that who we really shouldn't be entertaining in our communities. And while it's unfortunate, we're going to have to put a bit of a list together of people that certainly are not endorsed and in fact strongly opposed to speaking at my place. And one of those is the People's Court of Terra Australis, which also is the People's Law of Terra Australis, and quite a few other, and some information is coming out every day. Everyone's researching into this. This is, I don't really want to mention names because I hate doing that, but there is an issue and we're onto it already. So My Place Australia and My Place communities are in no way involved with the People's Court of Terra Australis. They're in no way involved or working with the People's Law of Terra Australis. And also, while I'm here for the third time and hopefully the final time, My Place has no affiliation with TAP, right, which is the Australia project that we keep getting labelled as we're working together. That's just simply not true. I haven't spoken to Lance only briefly when he was with another group, and it was someone else's phone, and he just yelled out from the background and said hello. But apart from that, I haven't spoken to Lance for over 14 or 15 months, or Kent. And My Place definitely not working with TAP. Yes, I'm sure there are TAP people, just the same as there are A1 people, the same as there are Reignite Democracy, Stand in the Park. There's all kinds of people that have been in all different groups over their journey that are part of My Place communities. They've actually left those communities and joined My Place. So, and some of them haven't. Some of them decided to stay with A1 because the ultimatum came out that you can't be a master to two servants. You can't be a servant to two kind of masters. And that's fine. Everyone's going to make their choice and their decision which way they want to go. But I just want to make it very clear that those three organisations, and there's another couple of names which I'm not going to mention names tonight, but they'll be made public to the My Place communities. The research has been done. The people on the ground aren't aware of this in the communities. They're not in conversations 24/7 with the really deep players of this whole kind of war that we're in, to understand why and who. All these people come across like politicians. They're going to sell you. They're car salesmen. They're going to sound like they're brilliant. They're going to sound like they're on our side. And this is what Ricardo was talking about the potential for infiltration. And the common guy on the ground that doesn't have the research, doesn't have the people connected to know who's who in the zoo, don't get it. They just see a genuine person that's really nice and they just jump in. So this is all part of the education, that we're not trying to protect them from that. They've got to get the street smarts, okay? And that's what we're trying to also teach, so that we don't end up moving away from one dictatorship to another dictatorship, where everyone learns how to be their own leader in their own right. They don't follow anyone, right? They learn how to be their own leader, and they learn how to be self-sufficient, and they learn the law. They learn how to argue their case and stand up for their rights, not by someone doing it for them. This whole exercise is about all of us getting off the news cycle and just regurgitating all the bullshit coming around from the rest of the world, and spending all that time educating ourselves on what we need, the tools that we need as individuals, as communities, so we can move forward with the knowledge. And that's what my place is all about.
I think Ricardo also mentioned it wasn't just TAP that was infesting my place. There were Freemasons everywhere, hiding in the closets. It really struck me as it's a bit like there's a communist in your cupboard.
Well, you actually realise that, and look, I don't want to go here really, but one of the bright lights, this Sir John Monash, I think it is, that gets raved about. Well, he was a Freemason, okay? Captain Cook and Flinders apparently were Freemasons. This country was built on Freemasons. So while I know that the Freemasonry thing has been taken over and all the rest of it, none of us have the real knowledge of the history of that organisation, who it's been usurped by, who are the good ones, who are the bad ones. I mean, we've got bad people in the Muslim community, we've got bad people in the Christian community, we've got bad people in every single religion, every single race, every single country. And it's good versus bad. It's not this organisation versus another organisation.
Yeah. And it's important to realise that while there is bad, there is also good. And I like to think, and I think evidence would back me up, that there are many more good people than there are bad. But the bad ones have a way of getting into positions of influence. And that's where it filters down and falls on our heads, which is a tad unfortunate. All right, mate. Well, look, I know it's only Thursday night, but it is the week before Christmas. I can't imagine that the skyscrapers in Melbourne are getting any further built at this time of year. I envisage that there is a bit in your future. And what are you doing for Christmas?
We've got a couple of other things to touch on in a second as well, because I do want to talk about what you started off on in a minute. Christmas. At this stage, it looks like I'm not allowed to go into the nursing home for the Christmas nursing home, the aged care facility that my mum is in. Yeah, they're not called nursing homes anymore, because I refuse. I've never had a test, and I won't have one. I won't wear a mask, and I won't get jabbed. And they're still excluding us from going in there. So on Sunday, Christmas Eve, my four kids and Anna and myself are going to take mum out into a park. I can wheel her up the street, and we'll have a barbecue and spend a few hours with her. Christmas Day will be pretty low key for me. Not much happening at all. All my Christmas stuff's happening on the Sunday on Christmas Eve. But and then the whole time I've got so much work to do. I've got so many irons in the fire at the moment that it's crazy. And I spent the whole day today. We've got Boxing Day. I've got a meeting. The 13 of us that met 2 weeks ago, which included Darren Dixon, Daryl O'Brien, and a host of others, a meeting again. I've got another meeting to do with policies and things on the same day. And it won't stop for me. I think the next 2 months is crucial. That I think everyone really needs to step up their game. And we've had a bit of a lull, I think, over the last few months, and it's time for people to get really, really kind of pumped now and say, right, I think this is a bit of a sprint to the finish line over the next 3 or 4 months, and we've really got to put all our time and effort into solutions, gaining the knowledge and pushing back, and see where that ends up by the time we get to March or April. So very low-key Christmas for me. Hopefully I can get away for a few days up to the river. That is on the cards.
Nice.
And that's about it. So, but as far as my place goes, and once again, I mean, it's only been probably 12, 13 months since you kind of came down here and we really started to take off, which was November last year. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and and I appreciate everything that Voice of Freedom and yourself, Carl, have done to push that and give me the platform, I guess, because I don't like doing lives. I hate doing lives, and I've done 3 in the last week, and I stuffed up every one of them. So I'm not big on doing that kind of stuff. So to come onto a platform like this and just have a chat, to me, I find that's really a positive way to get my message across, or our message across. Nothing's about me or my. It's all our. It's a team.
Yeah.
And we've got an amazing team. And while I think everyone's losing some numbers at the moment, life's pretty tough for people, financially and mentally and physically, and it always is this time of year, regardless of the situation. It's just the end of the year is always a real hard slog where people start having arguments, and and this year's probably even worse because of the situation we're in. Everyone is over it, but unfortunately, I'll have to be the bearer of bad news. We've got worse to come. That's just the way it is. And hopefully at that point we'll get people a bit more activated, and the people that have gone back to their lives will step back up, that are awake, and hopefully we've got a whole host of other people that will come on board now that are also starting to wake up. And it's actually interesting. I was watching your interview with Billy Bay, and while he doesn't have his license back yet, a friend of mine that I met on November 20 Worldwide Rally at Flagstaff Gardens, where we had about 450, 500,000 in a rally. And I run into this fella at the back of the stage, and we just struck up a conversation. And that was Professor Christopher Neal, who was a leading cardiologist at Royal Melbourne Hospital. Now, Chris has been through the politics. He ran for the Federation Party in the federal election also. But he's just been reinstated. He's got his license back, what I've heard, which has only happened in the last day or two. That's a positive.
And he's the president of AMP as well, I think, isn't he?
Yes, correct. Yeah, he did, I think, the Red Union and Australian Medical Professional Society as well. He's actually, I believe he's got his practice or his license back. And he's done a power of work, and he's very intelligent, very organised. So I think he'll be a very good voice from the inside, going into the future as well. And like Billy was saying, I really hope that a lot more doctors, pharmacists, and that start to come forward, because the more that come forward now, there's a chance that maybe they can save some kind of dignity. Not a lot, but a little bit, because the more that pour it out now, the quicker this flips. Those ones that have the courage to do that will be looked at in a slightly different light than the ones that are still, sitting back there, being fully complicit. So I would implore all pharmacists and doctors and anyone in that health sector to start to come out. And I'm talking AMBOs, nurses, whoever it is, right? You've got a green light now to come out and tell your story of what you've seen over the last 12 months or 18 months since this bioweapon, in my opinion, that they call the carrot juice was released. And it's time for them to step up and do something positive for the rest of the country.
Yep, couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more.
I'll be back in 2 secs, mate.
All right, I'll drop this out for a second, so I'll do the little ad. If you want to get a hold of My Place, then go to myplaceaustralia.org. It's very easy to find some information there, and you can also go and join the Unity Hub. The My Place Unity Hub is spectacular. I don't know what's going on there for a moment, Darren. I think you. Oh no, there you're back. Right, okay. The Unity Hub is spectacular, and while Darren said there is a small joining fee, it amounts to be about $60 for a whole year. And the benefits are significant. We will be streaming live in there in the next, hopefully tomorrow night we'll do it live. He's back. You're a quick change artist.
Mate, I've been called a something else artist as well, but The only thing I don't have for this for the election, the by-election, is a hat, a proper hat. So I'll have to look at that. It might be might have to be a green and gold MAGA hat.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Yeah, make Australia great again. Why not?
That's it.
All right. So when will the campaigning kick off in earnest?
Okay, so to me, we're just putting our team together at the moment. So while I got a rousing support at our Christmas breakup, everyone, I've only had one person or one lady that was against it, but by the time we finished the conversation, she could see the reason why. And look, I'm going to already have Cooker Watch has already started on me the night that we had that first talk where I said I'm entertaining the idea.
Yeah, right.
So I understand that I'm going to cop a lot of heat because I've been very strongly opinionated in my views on not taking part in the system. But my position really hasn't changed in this system about there being a political solution. But sometimes in life, an opportunity arises like this that is too good to pass up. And you got to seize it with both hands, no matter how stupid it's going to make you look or how hypocritical it's going to make you look. I'll cop those barbs and I'll have no issue with that, because the bigger picture is that this platform and this opportunity to spread the awareness and the knowledge and you just look at they're giving me so much information. I mean, under a Labor government, we've got suicide rate is through the roof. Interest rates are through the roof. Homelessness is through the roof. Our death rate is through the roof. Cost of living is through the roof. Our crime rate here in this electorate is up 39.8%, which I've got the figures. We've already started putting all this information together. That's through the roof. Everything is that society's turned to hell in a handbasket under the Labor government. So, for them to have to go through a by-election mid-cycle when they haven't had the time to buy everybody off with sweeteners coming up to a federal election campaign like normal. And with what's coming out of New Zealand with Barry Young and Liz Gunn, what's coming out of Texas with the Attorney General suing Pfizer, what's coming out of England, now what's going to come out of Australia now that this suppression order or whatever it is has been lifted against from AHPRA. I think it's right for us to have a real red-hot crack at getting some knowledge and some information. And I'm not talking about just Australia. I'm talking globally, because the policies that our team, I should say, is putting together is world changing. It really is world changing. Already, I won't call him my campaign manager, but the guy that I'm working with mostly on the policies has already got runs on the board. He has put in a report. There's an 80-page report. It's been released by the Parliament of Victoria. The hemp industry has already been. This is the deregulation of the hemp industry. It's already passed the lower house in Victoria. It will pass the upper house. And this is going to revolutionise the world. It's going to fix our soil, which is going to fix our water. And the policies that we have are world-changing, and they're global policies. And this campaign that we're going to do is going to go global, where we're going to actually get a real good media representation, where we're going to be reported on for our policies and who we are. Where we know in Australia we're just going to get smashed. So we have a strategy, and it's going to be an amazing 2 months. To release all this information. So campaigning itself, I think, probably won't start till the second week of January. At this stage, we believe that the by-election is probably going to be in February sometime, or maybe March. So we've got a lot of campaigning to do before we even get to nominate. I won't be having flute boards up everywhere like you do. I think you've got to wait. But certainly our policies and the Darren for Dunkley website is already up and running again. We'll be looking for donations from all around the country and all over the world. And this is going to be a David and Goliath type battle. I'm urging and hoping that the rest, including One Nation, and the rest of the so-called freedom movement or people trying to get a foot in the door can say, let's just kind of back one horse. Let's not dilute the vote in this by-election. Let's stick to one candidate. let's get behind one man, one voice, right, for the people, and see what we can actually achieve when we all come together and back one horse, rather than basically dilute the vote. And that happened. And I'll tell you right now, if One Nation do again what they did in the federal election, right, where they put a candidate in every electorate around the country, it shows to me, for the simple fact that in Dunkley, the candidate they put forward was a bloke from New South Wales. He never come to Victoria once for the ballot draw, for any campaigning, even on election day. They had no one handing out how to vote cards, yet they took 3 or 4% of the vote just because people like One Nation. Now, to me, that shows exactly who One Nation are, right? Because there's a reason why they do that. And to me, they're, in my opinion, they're in cahoots with the Liberal and Labor to keep out voices of the people and keep the status quo, because all they did was dilute the vote. And if that happens again, I'll be calling them out again.
And then, of course, their preferences get allocated that way too. So it's not blocking the vote; it's influencing it at the end of the day as well. So all right, mate. An exciting campaign. I'm looking forward to helping you along with it anywhere I can, of course. So I did hear that there might be a rumor that you could have an opponent who has found the only golf club in the country that will let him in is the Canberra Club, and the only reason that the Canberra Club would let him in is because they don't refuse a sitting member of Parliament a membership. So could Dan Andrews be your opponent?
There are rumours. There's strong rumours from inside Victorian Parliament who know his ambitions, and it would not surprise me. And when you look at it, I mean, he knew that Peter Murphy was very close to her demise. In my opinion, I believe that's why he quit. I mean, he's only 10 months into a 4-year term after just a landslide victory in the Victorian election, and all of a sudden he resigns, knowing full well that there was going to be a federal seat up for grabs. So I say, bring it on. If that. I'm going to keep it clean. I'm not even going to mention his name. But if he comes down here to run against the people of Dunkley, which is exactly what he is, I say that I'm welcoming that. I'd be rapt if he was threw his hat in the ring. I think it'd be fantastic, because while Peter Murphy, she was loved in this electorate. The people loved her. And her compassion, her just commitment to community. I mean, she was there right up to the day she passed. And I don't think Dan Andrews is going to be a lot of Labor voters won't be voting for Dan Andrews if he comes down here. So I hope he does. But what we've got to convince people now, with the information we're going to put out to the people over this campaign, is that you can't just jump from one wing to the other wing. The day for the two-party process has to come to an end, and we need someone in there that's going to hold these people, they're not even people, hold these politicians, I should call them, because that's exactly what they are, to account. And
not
none of these politicians.
The senior bureaucrats too, the department heads, they need to have their feet held to the fire as well.
They do, and we know, and it's our strong opinion that they are just puppets, and they're controlled by the globalists. They're controlled by big business. They're not there for the best wishes of the people, and I think the last 3 years can show that. And the ones that may be in there that aren't too bad along that line have no courage to speak up against their hierarchy and the politics state in this, where you have to vote along party lines, or you end up like is it Antic that's been no more pre-selection for him. So I mean, if people can't wake up and see now that unless you are doing what the globalists want, you can't be in politics, right? And the only way we change that is getting the knowledge out to the people. And that, once again, that's what this campaign is going to be about. I've never been about one about getting a seat at the table. I've always been about turning the table upside down and shining a light on the system that we have. And that's exactly what this will be about again. I'm running into the flames one more time to see if we can't, get some more people, onto our side.
Mate, you are a legend, and I can't thank you enough for what you do for the movement around the country. But for people in communities all around Australia, you've given many of them a place to go where they've found friends, genuine friendship when they needed it most at one of the darkest times of their life, when they thought nobody else thought like they did. You provided a place, or at least the inspiration to provide a place where people of a mind could go and have a conversation. Didn't matter whether you believed, you didn't believe, were jabbed, were not jabbed, it didn't matter. If you came to my place, there was information available, but nobody's forcing it down your throat. This is more about building a community and making sure that the roots are strong, because if your community roots are strong, our country will not be able to be shaken. But we need the people at ground level to provide those roots. So I think you are to be congratulated, mate, and all the best for this campaign. I look forward to helping you any which way that I can. It'll be wonderful.
No worries, Carl, and thanks for those words. It is crucial that people stop following and start, coming and meeting. Go and meet your neighbours, even if you're not part of my place. Go and connect with people. Go and talk. I mean, 90% of the people in this country are not bad people, and there might be another 10% that are, maybe borderline. We've all been bad people at some time in our life, right? None of us can say that we haven't been on the other side of the fence, or we haven't taken advantage of people, or whatever it may be, right? We've been selfish bots for all of our lives, most of us, right? That doesn't mean that these people can't change in the right environment. And what we're trying to provide is the right environment, and we're trying to get people to realise that there's a different way for us to live, for humanity, and not everybody's bad. Not everybody can change. And yes, I do agree there are a percentage that will never change. But, we've got to, it doesn't mean you don't try. And I think everybody deserves a chance for retribution. And like I said, I have not been necessarily the best that I could be for a lot of my life. And now I've turned the corner 180 degrees. A lot of other people, I think, are in the same boat. And I think there's a lot of other people that are ready to join us, right? And they just need the right environment. And that's what my place is creating.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well, go off. Enjoy your Christmas break. I hope you and Anna have a wonderful Christmas and New Year with friends and family. Get to the river, catch a cod for me. I know what you'll be catching. It won't be bloody. Yeah, it'll be carp. But you'll probably catch the odd beer or two. And say good day to everybody at the Lockington pub when you go past, will you?
I will, because I've got to pick up your glasses and my AHPRA that we left there. And look, in saying that, I haven't been drinking that much lately. I've been fasting 16 hours a day for the last 2 weeks, and I'm down to 91 kilos.
You're half a man.
Well, not quite. It's probably about 10% down. But yeah, I've got another 6 to go, and it's actually I mean, just this the environment and the community that we've linked with, and I feel blessed, totally blessed. I mean, here with Narelle today, and she was working with me all day to help me on some personal matters, talking to people from all around the country that are helping me, the mentors, the connections, the people that I've met and I'm working with. It's just an amazing time, and I feel so blessed to be part of this, and to be gaining the knowledge that I'm gaining, and whatever knowledge I gain, I'm going to be sharing with as many people as I can, free of charge. And that's what we all should be about, because the only way we get back control is not being self-centered and looking to make money out of people. It's got to be done in a way that's the best for the cause. And to me, everybody's got to have this information that whether they can afford it or not.
Yep, couldn't agree more with you, mate. Could not agree more. All right, we'll have a bloody good one, and I no doubt we'll talk to you over the Christmas New Year period, but the viewers may not see you until early next year. regardless, have a bloody great time. Give my best to Anna, and I hope you and your family have a wonderful time over this break. Take a rest, mate. Take a rest where you can.
No time, but thank you, and the same to you and Laura. I hope you have a great Christmas with your family and all your viewers. Stay safe, stay strong, and come out the start of next year, full of beans, because it's going to be amazing first 3 months.
Absolutely. All right, mate. You have yourself a good night.
Yep. Cheers, Carl. Thanks. See you guys.
Cheers, mate. Darren Bergwerf from My Place Australia, and hopefully soon, maybe the member for Dunkley. Wouldn't that be it'll be a bloody great thing, I reckon, just between you, me, and the gatepost. But it's a bit of a mountain that he has to climb there. Quite a mountain, in fact. Good to see so many folks in the chat tonight having a great time. I'm not sure if you're finding the transmission a bit jerky this evening, aside from me being the jerk in it. Beat the trolls to the joke. It was stop-starting on my end, so sorry for that. If that is the case, there's not too much I can do about it. There are a couple of little things that I wanted to cover off before I end up tonight. Now, the World Economic Forum have been responsible for pretty much all of the heinous things that have been committed against us, well, in recent history, let's just say. But I would go so far as to say pretty much since their inception, just after the Second World War. Now, they've tried very hard to hook us with pandemics. They've tried very hard to get us with jabs. And now they have decided they're coming after us in a whole new way.
That's also, of course, true with COVID, right? We are all only as healthy as our neighbor is on our street, in our city, in our region, in our nation, and globally. And did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. You know, climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably other times? And hopefully we won't keep failing on the other things, but anyway.
Wow. So they've failed on the other things miserably, she says. Is she a she? That's the question. Looks like a bloke to me, but anyway. Failed miserably. But what's the one thing everybody understands you have to have? Water. Water. Do you think the Queensland government might be alerted to this little plan, having given, more than just thought? I think they've given permission to at least begin preliminary works. I'm going to say that might be overstating it a little bit, but they're planning on allowing one of the big miners in Queensland to start injecting carbon dioxide back into the earth. Now, this is something they have been doing as part of their carbon capture credit scheme for years, but the carbon that has been captured is being liquefied and being put back down into empty wells, oil wells, gas wells, that kind of thing, pumped back down there and then capped. That's how they're storing this shit. Well, not in Queensland, not in Australia. Oh, no, that Queensland government, the Plucker Duck used to lead, and now we've got, well, I don't know who the hell he is, Stephen Miles, leading the Queensland government. They've agreed to let the miners start pumping that gas straight into the Great Artesian Basin. Now, that's our water supply. Well, that's the water supply for a great many people in central and northern Queensland. It will poison the Great Artesian Basin. What's that going to do for your water? Well, it's going to increase demand. You can be bloody sure about that. These governments cannot be allowed to do this kind of shit, folks. So make sure you talk to your local member if you happen to be in Queensland, talk to your local member about putting the carbon captured credit scheme bullshit into the Great Artesian Basin. They're going to pump that crap back into our water supply with the Queensland government's blessing. Never been done before anywhere in the world. All the reports say, don't do that. But oh no, we've got some numpty bureaucrat and some retarded politician who's taken a bribe or found a brown bag somewhere and thought, oh, gee, well, I won't tell anybody about that. Just took it home. Something like that must have happened to allow such stupidity to even be considered. Make sure, if you're in Queensland, that you let your local member know, local state member, that it's not on. That if they're going to allow that, maybe we should be stuffing them down the bores and letting them drink the water. Because it's just not on. They cannot be allowed to get away with that. Not in any way, shape, or form. It's bloody horrendous. A couple of little things to finish up with here tonight. Japan have got a new study that has been released. Irrefutable evidence that all of the cough variants are man-made. Now, that article has been fact-checked. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay on Facebook if you put it up there. And this program, I think, will have to go private. So if you are watching and got this far, congratulations. I will, shortly after I end the program tonight, I will turn it private, particularly on the Nun 2K channel. I probably won't bother on the others for two reasons. The first and probably the foremost reason is I can't remember how to log into them to do that. So I'll lose them or I won't. Voice of Freedom, I thought we had lost that channel again today after last night's show. It's the first one back in a week, but it seems to have gone out on there tonight okay. I would caution you folks, if you do have a regular YouTube channel that you watch and I don't pop up on it, go and have a look for Voice of Freedom or Ozeye, O-Z-E-Y-E, on Rumble. Voice of Freedom is there, and you'll also find me as Ozeye, and that streams there as well. So if you haven't got access to Rumble, then maybe the Unity Hub is a good thing to go and join, because Vince will have me sorted out on that by tomorrow, and we'll be streaming the show live into the Unity Hub every night after that as well. Project Matilda is back online and had a big facelift. If you haven't been over to have a look, go and check that out. And I'm not completely sure that the live stream has gone on and worked there tonight. It may not have. I'm not sure I'm pushing all the right buttons yet to make that work, but we will sort it out. Daniel's a great man, and congratulations to him on getting Project Matilda back the way it was. Been a lot of talk about the Pope recently. He has a bronchial ailment, but never, ever forget, this was World Youth Day 2019. See his sleeve there? That is the boy lover symbolized on his cassock, or whatever the hell you would want to call that, his robes, and it seems to be a major part of his particular robes. Don't ever, ever shed a tear for this bastard. All right? Don't ever do that. I've had a lot of people querying me about rods of God. They've sent emails saying, oh, I've never heard of this technology. What is it? What are you talking about? Well, look, here is what I assume to be an artist's impression of the rods of God. A canister, these things are ejected out of them. They have really only a gas pressure to get them out of the canister. They are radar guided or satellite radar guided and inertia driven. Apparently, once they get through the atmosphere, they can travel up to, I think, or exceed 20 or 30 times the speed of sound. They are a solid tungsten steel rod, or tungsten rod, that is the size of a telephone pole. So when that hits you, or hits your building, or whatever, it just keeps going and going and going. Very effective to get very deep underground and destroy what may be down there. And, well, who knows what may be down there? All sorts of weird bloody things. Some of the things that are down there are images that, well, for the most part, we probably can't show you, but we can show you what is probably a reasonably good artist's impression of it. Now, you never know where these sorts of images come from. Could they be real? Yes, they could. The likelihood of them being real, I don't know. In these days, I'd say 50-50. But this is a depiction of what a current joint dumb or deep underground military base might look like. And this one's not terribly deep, as you can see. The surface is only, well, let's call it 100 feet from the roof of the first floor. Now, the aliens tend to live down the bottom of this, but the area that I was particularly taken with this image is the bottom or the lowest floor. Now, you probably can't read on the screen what it says there, but that's a cryostasis area. And that got me thinking, you know, about all these supposed celebrities that are going to be coming back. And, well, what's the point of bringing back a 90-year-old Elvis? Can I ask that? I can still see that Michael Jackson might have some relevance today, and Princess Diana for that matter. But what if they came back still, because the stories were they came back looking like they hadn't aged a day? Well, that would be what a cryostasis unit would do. It would, you know, essentially freeze you for 40 years or however long they wanted to keep you. I guess all will be revealed. We're not going to go and get too socially excited about it, I'm sure. Some really exciting news came out of Washington today, Washington, D.C., that is. The press office went mad. It was Take Your Child to Work Day. So Joe headed off, which was really good. It was great. They got some family photos for later in the day too. So take your family to work day. Only in America. How's the Christmas shopping going? You doing all right? I did all my Christmas shopping today. All my Christmas shopping. J1. My God, thank you so much. That's more than I spent on all my Christmas shopping today. Thank you so much. I hope you and yours have a wonderful Christmas, mate. Really do. And we'll keep this battle going into 2024. Shit, we'll just keep it going until we die or we win, one of the two. Yeah, man, thank you so much for that. And your other donations tonight. I really appreciate it. Stickers are a great way to do it if you can figure out how. I've never actually been able to figure out how to do it. Yeah, really appreciate any sticker that comes through. But that one's knocked me away tonight. Thank you. Unbelievable. I hope you're having a good time getting your Christmas shopping done. Like I said, I got all mine done today and I only had to go to one place. It's not hard to get to that place if you're living in Brisbane or Melbourne, but if you are not there, then I guess you're probably not going to make the post between now and Christmas Day, unfortunately. But I know the people in my family are going to get a little half-ounce coin or a half-ounce round. I'm sorry, it's not a coin, it's a round. That will kick them off on their journey, I hope. Fingers crossed. We had a limit in our family, a $20 spending limit. So I think I've spent $22 or whatever it is, $23 on everybody. But it's a really easy way to. They come perfectly wrapped in this lovely little bag from Ainsley, and you just walk in and throw them around. It's really easy, really nice. So great way to sort Christmas out. They are open tomorrow, but pop your head in. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Steph and Paul and the team at Ainsley in Brisbane for all the help that they've given me this year in particular. And the same for Michael and his team in Melbourne at Ainsley Bullion in Collins Street there. It's been a huge learning curve for me, this whole precious metals market thing. Paul is a wealth of information about it historically as well as conceptually going forward. And Michael, I think, is blessed to have a great team around him, and he's going to be a great leader when he takes over after the end of the financial year. So to the team at Ainsley, thank you all for everything that you've done to help the Voice of Freedom and myself this year. Can't thank you enough, and look forward to working with you next year, hopefully a bit closer, to see what more we can do to help people secure their wealth and balance it. Maybe that's a better way of putting it, to balance their wealth. That's a big thing. You can also create a little bit of wealth of your own if you so desire, folks. Many people have decided they're going to give that a bit of a crack because, well, to do it, you've got to have a product that you've got some faith in. And I got to tell you, I have a lot of faith in this product. I have never been a marketer of any kind, but when these pain patches came, literally behind me, went onto my back, it was like an epiphany. And if it could do great things for me, like it did take my pain away, then what could it do for you? Well, it turns out it's doing a lot for many of you. And I am so pleased. My prayers have been answered for so many of you. I am getting wonderful emails from people who are a bit scared to send me videos, but are very happy to write a few lines to tell me exactly the kinds of successes that they're having. And I'm not going to call them failures, because nobody has reported that they're getting no benefit. A couple of people have reported, particularly people who've had problems for many, many years. We're talking decades, right? They, let me say 2 or 3 cases now, are reporting that they're getting some reduction in pain. They're not feeling it, as much as, say, Carol did when we put the patch on her back. But they are feeling benefits in other areas. So the patches, while you think the worst part for you at least is your back or whatever it is that's in pain, it may not be the worst thing going on in your body. And these stem cells or these patches reinvigorate the stem cells. Well, they'll go to work on the thing that needs to be worked on the most urgently first. Keep the patches up, because that keeps stem cell production up and regeneration up. And of course, they have a happy side effect. It's not a side effect, it's there on the page. It says they are age regenerative, not too ambiguous a way of saying what they're going to do. And that means they're going to, it's not anti-aging, it's age regenerative properties. And because it's working with your own stem cells inside your own body, it's going to work reasonably well. Now, one of the ladies that we have sent some of these patches out to, her name is Kate. She lives in Brisbane, I think. Now, Kate had a whole heap of issues, and you can go back and have a look at the show last week where we played her introduction video that she'd made up herself explaining her daily life. And I've got to say, I felt for her. 80% of the time she spent in bed. The other 20% of the time was spent hobbling or in a wheelchair. She didn't have free access to go outside and play with her 7-year-old daughter. She didn't have access to things like camping and holidays, because she was pretty much strapped to the pain meds and strapped to the bed. So after about 6 hours of use of the patches that I sent her, she sent a video which was quite amazing to watch. A huge change in her. But she's approached this whole thing quite scientifically. She ran out of the 2 patches that I gave her and was going to have to go, I think, 4 or 5 days without patches until the ones that she'd ordered had arrived. Well, she's been on those patches now for a week and decided to send this very short update to let us all know exactly how it's working for her.
X39 patches, I have lost 6 kilos purely due to not needing my wheelchair and have more mobility. My wheelchair is still in the garage Prices has calmed right down, and my IBS and bowel function have hugely improved, and there's more to come.
How good is that? I mean, how bloody good is that? I thought for a minute there she'd taken a photo on the toilet where she was talking about the IBS and bowel function thing, but I don't think that is the case. That's 1 week. 1 week with a lady who hitherto was stuck to her bed and was in pain, a lot of pain. Clearly, if she is in pain at the moment, it's not enough to warrant her talking about it. So that's 1 week in. I'm so grateful for her for sending that through. Thank you, Kate. Can't wait to see 2 weeks. Can't wait to see something longer from you. Maybe we'll have you on the show one night if you want to come on live. Or I can pre-record with you if you don't want to go live. Would love to do that, though. Love to hear your story, and love to know what holidays you're planning with your daughter, whether or not you're going to get to go camping over Christmas. I really hope you can. I really hope you do. And it sounds to me like it's something that you've been wanting for 7 years or longer. So that's amazing. The X39 patches are certainly doing magnificent things for Kate. I've got one on. They're doing great things for me too. I can feel it. My whole body just feels better. And you know, the bad rib aside for the last few days, I mean, it can't perform miracles. It we can't put things back in place. But by God, the swelling and the inflammation around those joints, and in my case, the ribs, helps with that tremendously, just tremendously. It's the difference between being able to do some things at times and not being able to do them at other times. And I'm finding that out. And I'm only small scale when it comes to pain. Many of you are suffering much greater pain than me. I see Stu's have been in the chat tonight. Stu, here you go. Stu can talk for himself. Arthritis, back pain, blah, 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 but it helped him play the drums again. You've got to be careful, mate. You can't leap back into these things, and drum playing is a bit strenuous, all right? So go a little bit careful. A little bit careful. Oh, it looks like somebody's thrown me a few more Dropbox files. That means others have sent me some videos. So if you're on the patches and you want to send me a video, email me first, because odds are your video will be too big to email. So if you email me and say, hey, Carl, I've got a video for you, I will send you a link to a Dropbox, and all you've got to do is drag and drop your file into that folder, and it will upload. It might take a little while, but it will upload, and I'll be able to download it then at my end and have a bit of a look. And if you allow me, I will share that with other viewers at times if you will allow me. Doesn't matter if you don't. I really want to give a smile for my benefit. My guilty addiction. I love seeing the smiles on people's faces and hearing it in their voices, the relief in their voices, and the killer smiles. And that story of Kate's with her and her daughter being able to go out and do things for the first time in 7 years just makes my heart burst. Really does. I'm so happy for you if you're getting a benefit out of these. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then what are you doing? If you are in pain, get onto these X39 patches. Find one of the people in this chat who's already bought some and go and ask how they got a hold of them. Or you can go right here. It's on the bottom of the screen. lifewave.com/VoF/enrollment/packs. If you go there, you'll be able to buy your own. I would suggest a bronze pack if there's just the one of you. That'll give you 30 patches for a month. Try them. 2 is probably enough to give you a little bit to give you an idea if it's going to work. But if you have significant issues significant pain problems, then this isn't an overnight fix. None of this is an overnight fix. It's not a cure-all. Doesn't work for everybody, sadly. However, it does have a very, very high success rate, and you should have a reasonable expectation of being part of that. However, I am still going to give away a few more patches, so I won't have any to give away for at least a month yet. But if you want a couple to try, then email me, carl@vofhq.com. I'll put you on the list, and when the next lot arrives, then I'll send you out there, send you some out, with the view that I really hope they work for you or the person you love that is in pain. It's a great way of being able to help them, and I'm really looking forward to being able to help you if that is the case. So if you want to buy some patches and get straight on it, so many people have found immediate benefits. I mean, while the post will be much improved, I imagine, after Christmas, we're still going to have to do a bit of double handling. By the time I order them, they send them to me. I get them. I take them out of the packet. I readdress an envelope or address an envelope to you, chuck them in there, send them to you. It's another couple of weeks before they get to you. So it does delay the whole process down. I would urge you to take the opportunity to follow that link, lifewave.com/VOF/enrollment/packs, I think it was. And you'll get them in a couple of weeks. I know there is some delivery delays at the moment. Some folks have been telling me that they have put an order in. The longest time that I've heard is a month, but I believe that some conversations have been had between Australia and America, and those delivery times are going to be shortened somewhat. So if you were told it was going to be a month, then fingers crossed it will not be that long for you. And if you do have a story that you'd like to share with me about your use of the patch, I would love to hear it. So make that video or write it out for me and email it to me, carl@vofhq.com, and allow me to share a few words out of it with the viewers, then I would love to do that as well. I haven't launched into my energy enhancer patches yet. I was figuring I might hold off until just after Christmas for that. Why? Well, you never know what Santa might bring me. Somebody asked me the other day what my inner leg measurement was. I was getting a bit excited for a little while. And then I remembered it was a bloke who was asking me the question. And he said something about push bikes. There's going to be a fella down Jarvis Bay Way who's going to be roaring laughing right about now. At any rate, I don't think I've replied to the email where he did request my inner leg length. But I will tell you, because I don't think it's any family secret, my inner leg length appears to be 29.5 inches. No, I'm not going to go there. So many jokes. So many jokes. Thank you, Rachel. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. There might be a bike in my future. Who knows? If there is a bike in my future, I really hope that it has suspension at both ends, a really wide seat with springs underneath it. Not just like a ball slide, because that's what the seats I see on these bikes look like, just a ball slide. Why do you want a ball slide on a bike? Yeah. And some of those seats have got really nasty tips. I mean, older blokes tend to have issues. Things, can drop out, fall out, get caught. Nasty thing to get caught on the end. Ooh. Ball slide. Bad thing. Bad thing. All right, folks. I think if I get a bike for Christmas, everybody needs to be slightly worried. Okay, I managed to pedal my way around a bit of sand and along a beach, but trust me, If I get a bike out there on the roads, the dickheads are not going to be safe from me.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?